Okay, it's been about 24, give or take 48 hours since this news broke that Cody Rhodes has left AEW as well as Brandi in tow. Now, I've read in some wrestling chats as well as on Twitter that there are some AEW fans that are pretty salty and heartbroken that Cody Rhodes has defected, and there has been rumors that he is headed to WWE and will possibly be in this year's WrestleMania because they are desperate to have people in this event. Now, do I think that it's kind of hypocritical of Cody for him to go back to WWE? I'm half and half on this. One half, yeah, he threw some shots. He threw a lot of shade at WWE in the first year. In the first year of AEW, he was throwing a lot of shade. And Triple H was not really so much throwing a lot of shade back, but he threw some here and there. The fact is, that was the first year of AEW. But at the second year, when the honeymoon phase was over, you didn't really see it that much. It was pretty much just business as usual. And they just kept going from there. Now, after watching Wrestle Talk and watching their news story that they had based on several sources that were saying the exact same thing, it's a possibility that it just could be a money thing. Now, here's what you got to understand. Cody Rhodes is a dad now. He's a father of a little girl. And he has to think about her and also his lifestyle, as well as the fact that he's married to Brandi. Now, I would not be surprised if what Ollie Davis from Wrestle Talk said was true, that nobody behind the scenes likes Brandi. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case, because Brandi comes off a bit pretentious. And the reason why I say that is because she's constantly trying to wrestle and she sucks at it, and nobody's really telling her that she sucks at it, and she keeps creating storylines with her facing top people that she doesn't need to face. Now, I've said many times in these videos, especially with the Club Atlantis crew, that Jade Cargill is green as goose shit, and I mean that. But the last matches that I've seen of her, she has improved greatly. Why? Because she's getting help from Bryan Danielson, and he's practically the best of best. But Brandi sucks, and she's been sucking for years. Like, it's never gotten better. Like, she's really bad, and for some reason nobody is telling her that she's bad. And I wouldn't be surprised if she has a bit of an elitist ego in behind the scenes. I would not be shocked if that's the case. Am I going to say she's a bad person? No. Am I going to say she might have an ego? Yes. And she has been accused of nepotism for a very long time. Or at least behind the scenes favoritism. More so favoritism, not nepotism. But either or, it would make sense if she's not well liked behind the scenes, especially in the women's division, which has been floundering for years. And I've even criticized for AEW's opening, like for AEW's debut, that the women's division needed a lot of work. And the fact that she's ahead of it, she was just a figurehead. While Kenny Omega did all the work, she was just taking the credit for it. And you can tell she wasn't doing much of anything with the whole Nightmare Family angle, which was worse than the Aces of Eights. Like, I never thought I would say that. And there were times I liked the Aces of Eights, but the Nightmare Family was worse than the Aces of Eights. I never thought I would say that. But the fact is that Cody Rhodes was not asked to leave. No, not left on his own accord, but was pretty much not renewed by Tony Khan. It was a decision by him. If people get on Tony Khan for making that decision, I don't know why you would, because I think that was a smart move. He's a businessman. And the one thing that Ollie Davis did mention is the fact that if they got new, and this was from WCW, if they got new people, then the old guard will have, and their contracts will actually match or go above the people that they signed recently, which was what brought them down financially, if you think about it. The fact is, when it comes to wrestling, you have the show, I don't want to say showrunners, but you have the ones that puts butts in seats. You have the ones where you know people are going to pay money to see them. You have the Bryan Danielsons. You have the Ruby Sohos. You have the Adam Coles. Say what you want about how they're booked now, but you can't tell me that their debut was not tremendous. It was. They had potential to be greater. You have the potential for Adam Cole to be greater, especially the fact that he used to be a part of the Bullet Club, which I never thought. But going back on Cody, Even though Cody Rhodes has done so much for the company and gained so much momentum for everything he has done, he has also kind of put AEW in a bind. When he was saying, they are our employees, we don't think of them as independent contract. Or the thing is, he was trying to pretty much capitalize on the controversy of WWE with the whole idea of them being independent contractors, but being treated as employees when they can't go anywhere, they can't do anything that they want to do, set their own time, set when they want to go out, they can't set their own schedule without going through them, and they're treated like full-time employees when they're not being treated as full-time employees. But when it comes to Cody Rhodes, he did kind of set up a lot of heat, but there was heat that actually brought eyes on the product. It wasn't heat that brought out negativity. It was a bit of a rivalry. Now the thing is, a lot of people saying that he's the one that kind of started the rivalry between WWE because of how they treated him, and WWE was looking at AEW. In my opinion, it was going to start anyway. WWE always wanted to be the main draw. They wanted to be the main company on the map that everybody went to. That was not going to ever happen. That happened for several years. But now that AEW lit the fire under everyone, you got several other companies that are trying to face them. Competition was bound to happen. It was going to happen organically, whether people know that or not. Now, I'm not getting on Tony Khan for making that decision. I think his decision was very smart. When you have all of these big money people coming in that's going to put butts in seats, especially with CM Punk being the most paid, and Cody Rhodes is there with horrible angles. His matches have been great. But the fact his matches have been great, and then it just plateaued, and then it's gone to subpar. And yeah, I think this previous feud, I forgot the guy's name, but the whole America gimmick that he had really did cause a lot of controversy for him and didn't get him better. But to be honest with you, I'm not going to say that his character tanked from there. I think he was bound to leave regardless because of the fact that he's a dad. He's starting to get a lot more projects going on. It was something that was bound to happen. Now, if all of this is true, that the financial negotiations didn't go well between him and Tony, and that he wanted to be treated as an equal, the thing is, no, you're not. I'm sorry. He did the same thing with everyone else. Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, and even Chris Jericho, they're all co-presidents, but they have a different role. They don't have a huge role like Tony Khan does. And to be honest with you, I think Tony's going to do it better than them. And it actually does help them become performers as well as having things to do with AEW on the side. But if Cody wanted to be a bigger player in the game and be at the same level as Tony Khan, I'm sorry, he didn't really have the finances to do it. If he, in my humble opinion, if he had the same amount of finances as Tony Khan and he was on the same level, the same net worth as Tony Khan, then they should be equals. But he was never going to be at that level, at least not to me. But the thing is, I'm not going to say that he abandoned ship. The reason why I'm not going to say that is because Cody Rhodes was there for an entire year without a contract. He went on and did what he did, storylines. He got his title. He did everything he did with AEW, putting the last dude over that took the title off of him, and he left. But he wasn't getting paid by AEW at all. Now, the fact that he wasn't getting paid for that long shows that Cody doesn't need it. And honestly, I think that that's pretty honorable. As for Brandi, I'm just going to say the last horrible promo, even though she's amazing on the mic, that promo that she did in the ring was cringy. It just was. It wasn't good at all. Brandi is a great talker. She's great as a heel. She's amazing as a valet. She sucks as a wrestler. But she has been in so many bad angles. None of them have hit the mark. She's always trying to be up there with the top players, but she's never really earned it. She really kind of stepped on people's toes, in my humble opinion. So her going with Cody, I think, is actually a smart move. But I'm not going to say there aren't shrewd businessmen behind the scenes or and they haven't really contributed anything. I'm not gonna say that Brandi is not a true businesswoman behind the scenes and didn't contribute anything. They both did, but for them leaving, I think was a good call. I think was a really good call, because now that AEW has a stacked roster, they don't really need to be draining the budget. They really do need to kind of withhold on signing people, or at least start building in what they have and wait until a certain percentage of wrestlers leave on their own for them to bring people in. And I think that was a good move on Tony's part, if that is true. Do I consider him to be a traitor to go back to WWE? No, because Irvin and I have talked about this. He actually made a valid point. They've been doing this for years. Wrestlers have done this for years. Can we say Hulk Hogan? Hulk Hogan is a prime example. He actually left on bad terms with WWE to go to WCW to be Hollywood Hogan. But guess what? He went back years later, and he's still in WWE now, kinda. The fact is, he defected from WWE and then went to WCW and then went back to WWE. But has anybody called him a traitor? And I know that WCW is no more. But the fact is, he did the same thing with TNA. He went from WWE to WCW to back to WWE, then to TNA, then back to WWE. So, besides the fact that nobody really likes Terry Bollea as a person, when it comes to Hulk Hogan, that company made his name. It made his name go further than what it was. I mean, he was always known as Hulk Hogan at the time, but he actually did go farther with WWF than anywhere else. So is anyone calling him a traitor for him going to another company and then coming back to the company that people think are like the devil? No, I think it's just a financial move. I mean, it's business at the end of the day, and whatever happens in Cody's life from here is his decision. And now that he's a dad and a husband, he has to start thinking more about his family and what's best for them. And not only that, maintain the finances to make sure that he and his wife are okay, as well as his kid. He has decisions to make as an adult. Now, if that was the case where he couldn't get the money he needed, he went someplace else, fine. I don't consider him a traitor at all. I'm going to still like AEW. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I have wrestling burnout for here and there, and I'm not going to watch it all the time, but I'm still like it for what it is, whether he's there or not. The same thing with WWE. I like it for what it is, whether he is there or not. And I think that's how it should be. Cody is not a traitor. Cody was actually making a business move. Now, does it make him a hypocrite for him going back after talking so much shit about the company? In a way, yes. But I think Cody is smart enough to know what's going to happen when he makes that decision. If it's a true decision. Right now, we have no evidence that he is going back to WWE or not. We have none from him. And more than likely, how vocal Cody is on social media, he will be the one to come out and say it. So until I see a tweet or some kind of notification coming from him that he is going to be going back to WWE, or a recording or some kind of I guess live, like an Instagram live or whatever, if he does have Instagram, any type of proof from him showing that he's doing it, I'm gonna take this with a major grain. There's really no point for people to be at odds or upset about this. If he does do it, it's strictly business. But we gotta hear from the source before we jump to conclusions. But anyway, guys, I want to hear what you think about this. Do you guys consider Cody Rhodes to be a traitor after making AEW what it is with Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, Chris Jericho, and Tony Khan? Do y'all think he's a traitor for leaving after doing all that? Do you think he's a hypocrite if he does go back to WWE after all the crap that he talked about and all the, you can probably say, gaslighting for the first year of AEW's run? What do you guys think about this? I really do want to know. Leave your comments below. Let me know how you feel. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace out.